Hi, I'm Dr. Carol Francis, and you get to know more about the work that I do on drcarolfrancis.com or souljourneytools.com as well. And enjoy my radio show at drcarolfrancistalkradio.com. Oh, wonderful people have contributed their wisdom on that radio show. But here's the contribution to you today. Consider this. The Akashic Records are a fascinating study. What I find about the Akashic Records investigation both corresponds with what other people discuss and also seems to be my own take or my own version on this. Well, I don't know about you, but the scientist in me says, well, if there's such a thing authentically as the Akashic Records, shouldn't there be like a congruence and experience of what these things are like? And a part of me says, yes, absolutely. Interestingly, there is a congruence. The Akashic Record, for those individuals that seem to go and visit them throughout history, in all the different documentations of people going to the Book of Life or the Book of Records, in whatever way that's referenced in those particular religious doctrines, they are congruent because it is described as the place where all actions, all thoughts are recorded and kept. That is a congruent idea. And even though it's called something different by different traditions, that is congruent. Now, how they're kept, what it looks like, what you experience it like, what it conveys about the future, your future when you go consult it, how accessible the records are, that seems to be where the variability comes in place. What I've noticed of late, especially with the advent of the internet, is that more and more people are saying anybody can go visit them. Whereas once upon a time, it was only the select few that had the entry ticket, the passport, the security code to be able to go in the Akashic Records. I'm still wondering about the accessibility of the Akashic Records. However, I'm going to hypothesize that if you're tuning into this, that you're so interested that you might even be called into going into the Akashic Record halls, if you will, and find out what's going on for you, perhaps for others. Now, when you're doing reading for others, I find that the records are often either off limits, guarded, or they're limited in access. I think that's pretty congruent across those individuals that do Akashic readings for other people. However, there is some discrepancy, which I find interesting along those lines. Secondly, when you're doing readings for yourself, I also find that individuals have similar responses in that it feels like there's a whole collection, and that whole collection is about in the past, the present, and some smatterings of information about the future. Now, that smattering of information about the future is intriguing to me. I don't know if it's because we see things dimly, or because we're afraid that the future is all fatalistically laid out for us, and therefore we can't see it clearly. Or, and the best explanation that I have come across is by Teal Scott. Highly recommend that website, that channel, where she talks about the Akashic Records in the future are about the potential if you were to keep your present process going on. And that philosophy is pretty consistent. I'm not completely content with that. I plan on doing more exploration on that. Would ask you for your response on that as well. Now, in terms of your present situation, you can often ask, what are the reasons I'm in this situation? And what are the possible ways I can move out of this situation? And clarity and insight is often available on that level, both for someone doing your reading and also for you going in there and doing your reading as well. It's as if they're there to assist you while you live your current now, your current way of being, so that you might be able to sculpture something very different for you as you move forward. Now, going into the past is interesting as well, because I note that some people say that the past is about how it's a conglomerate experience for everyone that's ever been created, since we're all part of unity and source and singularity. And for other individuals, they seem to say there are specific past lives that the information is accessible in the Akashic Records. Well, interestingly, we don't really know what past life regressions are. Are they us going back into a past life that's accumulative from all sorts of different entities, all sorts of different us's in there that we have a moment of tapping into, and somehow it infects us in our current situation, as we are an accumulation of human DNA? That's one explanation. So therefore, are you going back into your past reincarnations, your past lives, so to speak, that accumulated to your consciousness of the now? Well, some individuals also say that the Akashic Records are all about the now, that everything's about the now, that everything's happening simultaneously, and that that's a really hard concept to understand in our limited singular time and singular space consciousness of this 3D planet existence. Well, that's an interesting idea, that everything's happening at once and therefore you can tap into any alternative dimensions. Well, mathematics now has these wonderful ways of being able to mathematically formulate that there are simultaneously multi-dimensions that are coexisting in the same locale. I won't go into the details of that, and I'm not a mathematician, but the information is accessible in the year 2013. So what is all of this about in the Akashic Records? I don't think we totally know. But it is interesting what people who go there find that's common, and what people go there and find there that's uncommon, that may be more related to the paradigms we bring into the process. It's a little bit like this. Imagine you were flying in an airplane some mile above the Earth's surface, and you looked down out of the window and everything looks really small. The cars are so small. Now just imagine you took binocular vision, and that's the way you looked at the planet. And your binocular vision was so keen, you could go all the way down to a single ant, and you followed that ant looking at the trail of sugar on some person's kitchen counter. But all you could really see was the ant carrying the grain of sugar. Now, if that was your only experience of the planet, and you were to share the binoculars with the person sitting next to you, you would come up with certain understanding, explanation, and perceptions of what's down there on that Earth down there. Well, as a consequence, your vision would be accurate, but only to a very minute degree. It would be accurate, but completely out of context to the bigger picture. So what I'm going to suggest to you, as you explore the world of Akashic Records, as you explore any of the worlds that are outside of complete focus, is that you realize that you've come there with your own focus, your own binocular vision, and therefore you cannot see all the context, all the information clearly. Those are more about what you can hypothesize. Or maybe you can go and scan those out as well and try to piece together the puzzle, and those pieces may actually not all fit together the way you think they do. So as we continue to explore the vast, amazing world outside this 3D existence, let's be respectful of how little we can perceive and know, how we are piecing things together, and that we have to work collectively out of respect for the divergent perceptions, divergent data, and divergent interpretations of what we see. So, move forward. The Akashic Records are fascinating, and I'll be discussing it more on other videos. Take care. Dr. Carol Francis, signing off for now.